Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. This one's going to be kind of a follow-up to my last video where I compared a modern to a vintage 50mm lens, and this is going to be another one. I picked this one up at a camera show, a swap meet. This is the Pentax A50mm 1.7 full manual lens, very similar to the f2.0 that I had before, but this is a 1.7. And these ones were made in the 80s. They came as either an accessory or as a kit for some of the film cameras that they brought out. Made sort of mid-80s to late 80s, like 84 to 89. The 1.7 is kind of an interesting f-stop, or aperture, I should say. But yeah, I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to shoot some photos and shoot some videos of it and see what we can get out of it. Again, fully manual lens, no pins, so I'm going to have to dial in all the settings of it. It's in pretty good shape. I've taken a few test shots with it so far, but yeah, I wanted to do a video to kind of sort of put it through its paces, dial it all the way down to 1.7, all the way up to, I'm not going to put it up to f22, but probably up to f11, same like what I did with the last one. So yeah, let's get it on the camera, and we'll see what we can get. Okay, so this is the first photo that I took. It's a bit of a gloomy day here on the west coast of Canada, so didn't want to go too far, so I just went outside, and it had just rained this morning, so went out in the afternoon and caught some of the cool little water drops on the leaves here. Figured it would be a good example of the different f-stops for this particular lens. This first one here is at 1.7. Let me just open up the info on this one so we can see that it was at 50mm. Ignore the f-stop here because this is the f-stop that's recorded by the camera. You can set it at whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you just set the camera to the aperture ring priority, then anything you dial in on the aperture ring will override whatever this says. So this is at ISO 400, 1/250th of a second, and at 50mm. But on the aperture ring, this is at 1.7. The fall off is really nice. You get a little bit of, it was a little bit breezy. I don't know if this ghosting here is from the lens or from the breeze maybe. But the actual focus is pretty sharp. It's not too bad. Even at 1.7, I was expecting to be a lot softer than this, particularly on an old lens like this. But the fall off is quite nice in terms of the bokeh. This image here is more of a crop of the same image to kind of get a little bit more of a close-up, and yeah, the detail here is quite nice. The fall off is quite nice at 1.7, so pretty happy with it. I ran all of these raw images through Adobe Camera Raw, and I use the same preset on all of them, which is just one of the built-in Adobe Camera Raw presets. So just to kind of want to make sure that you all know that this is not straight out of camera. This is edited a little bit, but not too much. Yeah, so that's the full image there. Pretty happy with it at f1.7. And now we'll take a look at the f5.6 version of it. All right, so this is the f5.6. So right off the bat, you can see that it's a lot clearer. The fall off is still quite nice. Bit of depth to this hedge that I was shooting in, so but yeah, right off the bat you can see much clearer, no ghosting, no anything. 5.6 seems to be a pretty sweet spot for this particular lens, and I did a close-up of it as well, so you can kind of see the difference. So yeah, so definitely sharper in the water droplets there. The focal plane is pretty good, kind of right from sort of here to about here. So I'd say, it's probably maybe 3 or 4 inches. So pretty good though. You go back to the main one there to sort of see the whole, yeah, the bokeh is quite nice. Even at 5.6, the fall off is really sweet. So happy with it at 5.6. And we'll take a look at it at f11. So this is at f11, so you can see stuff in the back hedge here starting to come into focus. Still pretty good though. Focal plane is definitely much deeper on this one. Yeah, you can see some of the paving stones and stuff over here starting to come into focus. So yeah, I mean f11 is still pretty good on this. I'm quite happy with it. Yeah, for a pretty old lens, it's in pretty good shape. Seems to take pretty good images. So far, so good. And this is a bit of a close-up on that one. Detail's pretty good on the lens itself. Water droplets are pretty cool. Even at f11, the fall off is still pretty cool. I was probably maybe a foot away from the image on all of these images. The focal distance on this lens is not very close, so I would say maybe a foot, foot and a half is the closest you can get to whatever it is that you're shooting. It's definitely not a macro lens. So, all right, and I'm going to throw up some random images here. Just these images here, these three main ones. I wanted to kind of be in the same spot, shooting the same thing to kind of give you the difference, show you the difference between the 1.7, 5.6, and f11, shooting the same subject. But I've got some other images that I kind of shot at random of the same area here. So we can take a look at those. So here's another one at f1.7, which is kind of cool. I really like it. The fall off is really nice in the background there. Even little blots of red from the little berries that were still popping out there. That's a square crop of the same image there. This is at f5.6, so still pretty good. Yeah, quite happy with it. That one was kind of an interesting one. That's at f1.7, and this was a branch kind of coming right at me. So there's obviously a lot of depth to it as you go further back, and then it just kind of disappears, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I like that one. Alright, so next up we're going to shoot some video. I'm going to probably put it on a tripod, do some handheld, maybe some rack focusing, see what that looks like. I'll do the same thing. I'll put it at 1.7, I'll put it at f5.6, I'll put it at f11, I'll do some close-up shots, I'll do some wider, landscape type shots just to kind of see what this lens can do in video mode. And I'll probably shoot some photos at the same time. And we're going to throw those up on there now and take a look. So this is one of the first photos that I took when I went down to the park on a nice cold wintry day here on the west coast of Canada. This one is at 1.7 on the 50mm lens, the vintage one. And I just did a little bit of a close-up of it. You can see really good detail coming through in here. Nice sort of fall off on there. And let's check out another photo. Yeah, this one's pretty cool too. Wanted to kind of get a little bit more of a wide angle. You can kind of see here, you can see the spider webs hanging off here. So the detail's really good on this lens. Really happy with it. Nice sort of fall off in the foreground and in the background. Let's see a close-up of that one. Same thing, yeah, you can kind of see the spider webs kind of coming off there. Beautiful backlight. Let's check out another one. It's another one at 1.7. Beautiful backlight. Good detail here, good detail in these little water droplets. And the spider web kind of hanging off the branch there. I've done a little bit of post-processing on these just through Adobe Camera Raw, nothing too major. Let's see a close-up of that one. Yeah, really nice backlight, nice detail. Again, little spider webs hanging off the branches. That looks really cool. Quite happy with that. Yeah, this morning light is beautiful. Notice a fair bit of red cast on this lens when I'm shooting towards the sun. I don't mind it. It's pretty cool. Again, I did a little bit of post-processing just to punch it up a little bit, but looks pretty good. Sun was over here, kind of coming through. Let's see a close-up of that one. Yeah, detail's really good on it. This one is at 5.6, so, a little bit of fall off here. Good detail through here. Nice backlight. Beautiful. That's a close-up of that, so really good detail in through here. Let me punch that up to 100%. Yeah, looks pretty good. Good detail. Not even at 100%, you can kind of see the fall off towards the back there. Yeah, it looks really good. Quite happy with that. This one was the same shot as a few ago And this is at f11, so as you can see, good detail in through here. This is all in focus. This is all in focus. Even the stuff in the foreground's pretty well in focus. Again, I was probably maybe 8-10 feet away from this. All this, so everything is really good. Let's see a close-up of that. Yeah, so yeah, isolated nicely. Good detail over here. Good detail here. Just a little bit out of focus here, but yeah, good detail all through here. This one's at f11 as well. Good detail in through here. Good detail. A little bit of chromatic aberration, but yeah, I mean, the sun was literally over here shining through, so can't blame the lens for that. And that's a close-up of that one. Good detail. This is just a straight shot away from the sun to kind of get everything in light, as that f11. You know, really good. Lots of good detail. Everything's looks really good. And another one at f11. Good detail in the mountains in the background here. The mist, foreground. Looks really good. Trees are all in focus. Good detail. Not a lot of post-processing on this photo. Just a little bit of color punch up a little bit, but no contrast adjustments or anything. So yeah, it looks really good. And just a vertical photo through the trees at f11. Looks good. And that's one at f5.6. So yeah, good detail back here. Got the mist coming through. Got the detail here. Let's punch that up to 100%. Yeah, good detail here. A little bit of fall off here, but this was my main kind of focal point in through here, so I think that looks really good. So here's some examples of the lens at f1.7 out in the field. It was same morning, cold, clear, and just wanted to kind of show you some of the details here, sort of focused in on the background. The foreground is kind of a little bit out of focus. Again, this is at 1.7. Looks pretty good. This is straight out of the camera. I haven't done any post-processing to this at all, so looks good so far. Shot a few clips at each of the apertures, 1.7, 5.6, and f11. This one, yeah, sort of side light coming through, a little bit of backlight. Yeah, you can see that off in the distance is quite out of focus. Looks pretty good. Still pretty sharp, even at f1.7. I was probably maybe about 15 feet away from this scene. And this one I just did a quick little rack focus from the trees in the background to the frosty grass in the foreground. Next we'll do the 5.6 examples. Just did a couple of these ones. Same scene as before, so you can see the background is a little bit more in focus, but still really sharp. And then same thing on this one, just some of the grasslands in the field. I think this lens is really good between like f4 and say f8 for video at least. And next we're going to do the f11 samples. And as you can see, everything is pretty much in focus. Again, about 15 feet away from the subject, or the main fence in front there. And everything in the background is pretty much in focus. So not too bad on this one at f11. I did have to bump up the ISO on this a bit though. I think I was up to 1600 on this. And same scene as before, but at f11. And I was pretty close to the grass in front, so that's why it's a little bit out of focus. But yeah, overall pretty good. Pretty happy with this lens at those 3 f-stops. Okay, so that was fun. It was good shooting with this thing. It's pretty good. Pretty happy with it. Even at 1.7 all the way up to f11. Seems to be pretty good, pretty sharp. 1.7 is a little soft. f11 you need to kind of crank up the ISO a little bit. I don't know if I would be shooting that often at f11 anyway, Probably kind of keep it between the 2.8 to maybe 8 range. Focus throw is pretty good on it. Not as much as the 2.0, so going from sort of in and out is pretty smooth on this. So yeah, overall quite happy with it. It's a good purchase. Picked it up for around 50 bucks. So yeah, pretty happy with it. So far so good. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next video.